All right, y'all. Today we're looking at this boudoir photography business, and for its local searches, city searches, we're going to see if it has BSS. So we're here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned video, pinned profile, pinned post, whatever. That's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're bringing in people from the entire intent ladder, highest intent on the left to lowest intent on the right, boudoir photographer business is rising. And if we're not doing that, boudoir photographer business is falling. Pretty simple. Over on the left here, we talk about BSS. So the videos here, it's the highest intent peeps. People search for boudoir photo shoots on Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So highest intent search, closest to the money. We want to dominate that first. And over at the end, BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where right now we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So that's some other profiles out there in the universe. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're hurting, we're screwed. Because I mean, we're on page 2 or 3 or somewhere later. And we also know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only, they stay on page 1. So this is the bulk of people searching. The bulk of searchers, approximately 80% of all searches. So we actually want to cater this approximately 80% bulk. This is the bulk of the market. We don't care about the 20% that go to page 10. We don't care. Let's be the best in the universe at capturing these 80% that stay on page 1. So 0 slots, bad. 1 slot is bad because then, dude, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're if we got 9 other competing boudoir photographers on our on page 1, okay, they got 9. Buyers are just clicking down, going down every, clicking every link open on, sending a message to every single person, getting a quote from everyone. And we're not standing out at all. They probably don't even reckon, they don't even remember our name. They're just clicking through all 10, us and 9 other competing boudoir photographers. So it's a diagnosis. It's the most common diagnosis actually I've seen with across all boudoir photography businesses. Also, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's not normal to have that small number of slots on Google. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. These 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, and the false belief of page 1 equality, which basically nobody knows about. So market saturation, obviously, more boudoir photographers entering the market seemingly every week. Every time anyone gets a new iPhone, they're sending out their Google My Business profile saying they now shoot boudoir, or they're, saying, they got their website, they're competing for page 1, maybe even getting on page 1, and kicking us off, or they're getting a new camera, and now they're posting them on Facebook groups saying they also shoot boudoir. So more and more boudoir photographers are always entering the market. That's never going to change. And so that's market saturation. Everyone's used to that. COVID had a massive blast to that. People needed to earn income, couldn't work, and now actually needed to became boudoir photographers. So massive glut of boudoir photographers entered the market. The one that almost nobody knows about is the false belief of page 1 equality. So page 1 equality is basically assuming, everyone, everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 of Google. More photographers come in, they might kick me off page 1. Now I got 1 slot on page 2, but that's how it is. It is what it is. It is how it is. And hopefully maybe I get back, someone leaves, someone shuts off their website, I go back to page 1, or maybe I go on to page 3 eventually. And it's just kind of something people accepted, but this is a false belief. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So I know Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And so I feel like most people there's never been a word for this. The false belief, well, for page one equality, people just there's never been a word to describe it. So I feel like people haven't really thought about whether they believe in it yes or believe in it no. But people's actions have told me it seems like people just have accepted it, right? Because they never, I don't know, had explicitly a word to say, oh, do I believe in that or not? So, and also this false belief of page one equality has been the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses that I have ever seen. People get relegated to page two, they disappear. They're pretty quickly after their business disappears because referrals only last for so long. You can only spend so much ad money. CAC, customer acquisition cost, always goes up over time. It's the new people that have never heard about us yet that always sustain a business. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Dude, because we're from page two, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never hit in page two. So we're disappearing, and pretty fast after that, our business will be disappearing as well from existence. And if we got one slot on page one, well, that's the scariest number on page one because we are one person could kick us off to page two if they take our slot. And also, we look the same as the other 9. If there's other 9 slots or 9 boudoir photographers, we look the same. Nothing special. They're clicking through all the links, contacting everyone, price shopping everyone. And so it's like 0 or 1, most likely disappearing. For 0 1, both local and city search. So we got our universe building up here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. But luckily, BSS, boudoir search sameness, is treated with social search saturation. So our S-cubed methodology is our proprietary solution we've created. And been mastering it, building it over about the last 7 months. And ready to bring it to market. And with S-cubed methodology, we can actually take it as many page one Google slots as we actually want for whichever keywords we want. Instead of Google PPC, you get 1 extra text ad. Okay, who cares? Dude, we want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 organic slots and up, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this S-cubed methodology, it's social search saturation. So we saturate social search first. And then once we saturate social search, Google recognizes that and it flows to us saturating page one of Google search. So page one Google search is actually the byproduct of saturating social search. And this is actually the only thing I've seen that actually is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So imagine we're in Topeka, Kansas, where one boudoir photographer we got. There's 1 million total boudoir photographers competing in this city. Everyone's got their own website. Everyone's ranking or trying to rank page one on Google. But we crank S-cubed methodology to the max. When we crank S-cubed methodology to the max, let's say we saturate social search, the first 300 slots for the highest intent keywords across all social platforms. And also, as a result, we capture the first 300 slots organic per Google. Well, there's 10 organic slots per page on Google, so that's literally the first 30 pages that we saturate. So when anyone that ever looks for a boudoir photographer in our city, anywhere they look, they search on social or they search on Google, we're basically the only one that they can find, even though there are literally 999,999 other boudoir photographers. And so whose business is growing? Ours, even though our market saturation has never been higher. And our business has never been going faster because we capture so much, search intent or so many search slots. And so again, this is the only solution that I've seen that is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. Obviously, more market saturation, the more you got to crank the S-cubed methodology. But at least we finally got something. Finally got something that gives us some hope. Now, once our BSS is treated with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. So we kind of escape market saturation and the false belief of page one equality, and we achieve page one visibility. Now, a bonus of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. So yeah, dude, every new slot we take on page one on Google, we're kicking a boudoir photographer out of there, relegating them to page two or deeper. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page two. That's literally 80%, the bulk of the market. It's never going to see them on Google. And same if we do, across all social search platforms. So this is a bonus of doing the using the S-cubed methodology, kind of reducing the amount of boudoir photographers we're being price shopped against, or buyers even know exist. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we're no longer at 0 slots on page one or 1 slot on page one. Technically, we can do it with two slots on page one, but we won't get to the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search and city search. Now, boudoir search visibility, if we can get to 3, that's kind of our big hump we want to get over, because we're definitely going to stand out more than all the other boudoir photographers that have 1 slot on page one on Google. And there'll be times when another boudoir photographer will have 2 slots on Google, page one on Google. But if we got 3, I mean, we're dwarfing everyone. So we finally achieved it activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So this is our universe. We got, disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. That's fine. We got a solution now. S-cubed methodology. And we achieve page one visibility. So we overcome market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. To achieve page one visibility, become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. So I'm going to look at me using a S-cubed methodology here. I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And come down to organic. Got Instagram slot 1, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page one on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one on Google. And again, this is the only solution I've ever seen that can successfully outcompete market saturation. And has its own, momentum to it. Where ads, if you stop spending to them, momentum instantly drops to 0. That's on Google and on Facebook. Now, onto the main event here. We're going to see if this boudoir photography business, see if it's got BSS for its local or its city search, see if it's hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page one slots on Google. So let's get into it. So we're going to Germantown, Tennessee, and Memphis, Tennessee. All right, so what we got here. We're in Germantown, Tennessee. All right, let's see what we got. All right, we got 1. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 for local search. Let's go to city. City is always harder to rank for. It's more people competing. Oh, nice. We got organic slot 1. That's great. So we got 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 here. We got 1 out of 10 for local. We got 1 out of 10 for Memphis. So yeah, dude, we got BSS for both, and we are hitting the GBC universe recommended minimum. A 3 out of 10. Neither of those searches. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done your local search, you've done your city search, either have BSS for one of those, or you're not meeting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for one of those. And you realize this means you're starting to disappear. A disappearing boudoir photographer. This is the first kind of flag, the first kind of warning light. If we start becoming disappearing here, eventually the business becomes disappearing as well. And you're seeing S-cubed methodology like, yes, this is exactly what I need. This is what you've been wanting to use or wanting to have as a solution for a while. And you've already broken out the false belief of page one equality. And you understand market saturation. Yeah, people get new gear, okay. And you're loving the initial awesome benefits, S-cubed methodology, more links page one on Google, kicking more competitors off page one on Google, kind of making them become disappearing boudoir photographers. And you're looking ahead and you're seeing, since you understand market saturation, you're actually seeing that AI is going to be taking a ton of people's jobs more and more over time. So it's literally going to be kind of bringing in a larger and larger amount of boudoir photographers over time. So you realize you got to fortify your position on page one on Google, not just get it right now, but actually kind of build up even excess links in the back end in reserve that so many links out there that actually prevents any future competing boudoir photographers from getting on page one either. And you're saying, okay, SQ methodology is also the only thing you see that can accomplish that. So it's kind of a near-term extra benefit. And you want to achieve boudoir search page one visibility, so that you become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also understand the future backend benefits of becoming #1 or of utilizing SQ methodology. Is basically the first one is you're building up these invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like plugged into your brand, plugged into your business name, your website, your social media handles, or kind of like spokes, hub and spoke, plugging these different spoke columns into your brand that actually bring, that actually eat up mind share in the back end Google AI kind of like mind brain. And so, that every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, higher chance you'll be getting recommended here AI overview, because you're basically bundling up kind of these, these building up repetition, authority, relevance, frequency, age of these invisible thematic keyword columns that takes up AI mindshare, which also increases the probability recommended AI search. ChatGPT growing AI search growing every single day. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Google search is still, approximately 90% of global search, but AI search is literally growing every day. It's what I use most frequently. It's basically just give me the summary. I don't want to click through it after reading and figure these things out myself. And I know last time I did search for boudoir photographers in a city that I got 3, and then I went searching myself on Google, and there's like approximately 60 in that city. So I'm like, okay, we definitely got to be building momentum here, increase the probability recommended in these 3 slots. And you're seeing, okay, SQ methodology is the only thing that will build these invisible thematic keyword columns for you to achieve this increase in probability of AI search being recommended for AI search. And you're also understanding that, my current plan is to only work with 1 boudoir photographer per city. So you decide, hey, you're going to jump on this first, get all these initial benefits, box out your competitors so they can't use me, build up this kind of invisible momentum gap with your competitors to where, we can get it to where essentially they can never, ever catch up to us. And, the converse, if your competitor were to work with me first, that you'd actually have to go rederive or derive SQ methodology for yourself. And then you'd have to go execute it. But you would never be 100% confident putting in the time to execute it, because you would not know if you've even derived it correctly in the first place. And, when you'd have to equal our execution every day with me and your competitor, and you'd have to, that's simply to maintain the gap. To actually make up progress, you'd have to double or triple our output every single day using the system I invented, and to close that gap, be able to basically pull that AI mindshare back from me and your competitor, kind of those invisible thematic keyword columns. And who's got 80 hours in a day to do that? So you're like, screw that. You've decided you're going to be first mover of your city to actually get all this stuff done. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed, not taking any new patients. But when my DMs do open, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.